Welcome to another exciting pre-release season as we gear up for Pokemon's newest set, Surging Sparks. Pre-release events are the perfect opportunity to dive into the latest set on a level playing field for players of all skill level, as you're going to be building a deck at the event with cards that you're pulling from your build and battle kit provided. So don't worry about having to bring a standard deck with you. If you're completely new to the game, you'll get everything you need at the event. While pre-release are a fantastic way to enjoy cards in a relaxed, fun environment, they do have some unique rules and strategies you should know about. Today, I'm going to be helping guide you through this process so you can just focus on having fun. Also, if you're keen to crack into some packs, I've got a Surging Sparks kit right here, so make sure to hang around to the end of the video so we can see what's inside. And as an added bonus, I'll even tell you how you can get some extra packs with your build and battle kit. But first, let's talk about what you can do to prepare and expect at your event. The first thing you'll need to do is actually find an event near you, which you can do by checking Facebook, asking your local card shop if they're hosting any events, or probably the easiest way of all, just using Pokemon's event finder. Just go onto the Pokemon website, enter your city or postcode to see nearby registered events. I'll link it in the description, but if I forget, just ping me in the comments down below and I'll get right on that. Some stores may offer pre-registration for the event as well if they're expecting high turnout, but you can usually just show up on the day and be fine. When you arrive though, head right to the front, let them know that you're there for the pre-release, and if you don't have any card sleeves, you might want to consider picking some of those up when you're there too, just to protect your cards while you're shuffling, or if you get some really cool hits. I personally recommend getting Dragon Shields. They're really durable, come in packs around 100, so you have enough for a standard deck as well as your pre-release deck at the event, and they even come in this cool box that's perfect to store a 60 card standard deck list in. You'll also need some dice to bring to the event that you're going to be using as damage counters. I like using like D10s from Dungeons & Dragons, but you can also just use standard six-sided dice. These ones obviously going from 1 to 6, and then having this one that goes from 0 to 90. So you can effectively go from 10 damage to 690, which is pretty cool. You're also going to be using dice for coins, so if you have to flip a coin ever, you're rolling a dice. Even's going to be counting as heads, and odds is going to be tails. So start of a game, you're going to flip a coin, and that's how you determine it. Same for status conditions like confusion or sleep. Try to avoid being that person that brings an actual coin to the event though, as they tend to either fall on the floor or going into someone else's game, which can cause some delays or just completely disrupt what's going on. Also, while poison and burn counters likely aren't needed for this particular set, there's something good to just have on you when you're playing Pokemon. If you're brand new to the game, I'd recommend picking up an Elite Trainer Box or ETB from the shop, as it's a great way to get everything I just mentioned. They're going to include sleeves, dice, and condition markers. Plus, you get some booster packs, so you can get some packs from a new set. The one you're playing in the pre-release though likely won't be available off the shelf since we're playing pre-release, so you can't actually buy it off the shelves yet, but you can probably get something recent like Stellar Crown if you're after it. Speaking of ETBs though, I'm currently running a giveaway over on Twitter where you can win one as well as a booster box from Surging Sparks, so make sure to check that out if you're interested. That's pretty much it for what you're going to need to bring though. A water bottle and some snacks are always a good idea too, but be sure to check with the store about their food policies before you start eating anything at the tables if you're unsure. Also, if you have a playmat, it's always a good idea to bring one, making it easier to pick up your cards and mark your play area. If you don't already have one, I've actually got a pretty cool announcement to make. I've partnered with the website Quaquaval mousepads. They make high quality custom playmats and even offer free shipping to Australia, New Zealand, the UK, and the United States. Plus, if you use the code BBTCG, you're going to get yourself 10% off your order. You can use that as many times as you want, so if you get one playmat and then a month later decide you want another one, just remember that code. It also helps support the channel, so it's greatly appreciated if you do. They're really high quality, like honestly the print looks amazing on them, and they're very durable. It's a top-notch product. It's pretty rare that I recommend stuff like this, so honestly take my word for it, you won't be disappointed with the product. I've already got 3 for myself. You can use the link that's in the description if you want to get one for yourself too. Getting a little off topic there though, sorry. Now that we've covered finding an event and what you need to bring, let's get into what you'll actually be doing at the event. When you get there, make sure to check in and pay. You'll also likely need to bring a Pokemon Play ID, which is free and easy to get if you don't already have one. Just go onto Pokemon's website, make an account, then go into your account settings and select My Play Pokemon page. And you should just have an ID right at the top there. Most shops usually have a piece of paper you can just fill out there too that will provide you a Play ID. It's always a good idea to be prepared though. go on the website, screenshot that number, or if you forget it, just log in again and kind of follow those steps. Once that's all sorted out, you're just going to be waiting for the event to kick off while meeting other amazing people in the community. Everybody's there to have a fun time in a casual environment, so don't stress out too much if it's your first time going to an event. When it starts up, you'll get given a build and battle kit like this one here. It's going to contain 1 of 4 promo cards, being either Gouging Fire, Chien-Pao, Magneton, and for some reason Indeedee. They've all got exclusive artwork you can only get from these kits. Gouging Fire seems like a solid option as it hits like a truck using Blazing Charge. It does a base damage of 100, but 70 more if your opponent has 4 or fewer prize cards remaining. We're playing in a 4 prize format, so you're always going to be doing 170 with Gouging Fire. Chien-Pao has an ability that lets you discard a stadium when you play it from your hand onto the bench, and the attack Icicle Loop will do 120 damage at the trade-off of bouncing an energy back into your hand. It's also going to be hitting weakness into Gouging Fire, so it seems like a pretty solid card for the format too, giving you a way to one-shot them. Charging up the attack cost though might be a little bit awkward. Magneton's going to let you knock itself out, and when you do, you can attach 3 basic energy cards from your discard pile to your lightning Pokemon in play in any way that you like, so potentially setting up multiple attackers. It's a great way to set up your attackers, but it does give up a prize to your opponent, so it can be a little bit risky in a 4 prize format, letting them get an advantage in that space. While this card's going to be amazing in the standard format, it's a little bit risky to play in pre-release, but getting this exclusive art is really cool. The Indeedee, on the other hand, feels kinda weak. Its ability is going to heal 30 damage and remove a special condition from your active Pokemon when you play it from your hand onto the bench. It's a once-off effect, and potentially you just open the game with this in the active and you don't even get the effect off, so it's a little bit risky. The Magneton does evolve into a Magnezone that can confuse your active, so it might be relevant for that one matchup, but other than that, I don't really see the logic in having the Indeedee in here. The attack on it also only does 50 damage and doesn't even hit weakness into any of the other promo cards, so overall it kind of feels like the weakest of the promos to pull. But the kit it comes with is pretty interesting. Luckily though, your kit isn't fully determined by your promo card, but it will determine a good portion of it, and we'll refer to these as the groups. So each promo has a group of Pokemon and trainer cards that it should be coming with. As a bit of a rough guide, we'll cover these. So effectively, you could get Indeedee and you'll get the Indeedee group, and you're also going to get a secondary group of one of the other promo cards, just without their actual promo in it. So you could get Indeedee as your promo with its Pokemon line, and then the Gouging Fire kit, but without the, well, Gouging Fire promo in it. With all the different groups, that means there's 12 possible combinations of promos and the groups you could be pulling, creating a good variety of decks that are going to be played at the event. I tried putting together the info for the groups based on kits that I've seen open. The Pokemon should be correct, but the trainer cards seem to vary a little bit, so it's not going to be an exact one-to-one of what you'll be getting in your kit, but it should be a good rough guide of what you'll be seeing. Well, first let's talk about the Indeedee one, because I have been giving it a little bit of flack. We're obviously getting the Indeedee promo card in there. The other Pokemon in the kit, it's going to be a Wu-Chen who has Hazardous Greed, does 20 base damage, but if there are 3 or fewer cards left in your deck, it's also going to do 120 damage to 2 of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So it can be a great way to potentially snipe 2 things off your opponent's board. 120 is a pretty good number. You're going to be taking out most things in the format outside of like big basics, stage 2s, or obviously EXs, but pre-evolutions or low HP guys, like for example that Indeedee, you'd be able to snipe that off the bench. These Rabskas we're going to talk about in a moment, you'd be able to take them out, so potentially taking 2 prizes in one go with Wu-Chen, definitely a powerful way to close out the game. The Rabska having a similar attack in counter turn, it does 40 base damage, but if there are 3 or fewer cards left in your deck, 200 more damage for just 1 grass energy. So hitting up to 240, you will be one-shotting effectively everything in the format, even some of the EXs, or at least doing some pretty good chip damage into them. So as long as something's softened them up a little bit earlier for you, it's a good way to finish them off. And a great closing Pokemon to be able to use. The Snorlax is showing up in here as well. Having 150 HP on a basic is great. If you open this, you can just have it sat in the active, tanking some hits for you, and it can help you set up as well with the attack Spike Draw. It's going to do 20 damage and let you draw a card. So softening up those targets so that later on, maybe you're hitting an EX with Snorlax, and then Rabska can come out and finish it up with Counter Turn in the late game. The trainers in here, this is a rough estimation of what you should be getting. Getting at Dusk Ball, look at the bottom 7 cards of your deck, grab a Pokemon card you find there. Lucky Helmet, you can attach this to a Pokemon, and whenever it gets hit, you're going to be drawing a card. Drayton, It's going to let you look at the top 7 cards of your deck, grab a Pokemon and Trainer card you find there, put them into your deck, then shuffle the other cards back in, and Professor's Research, just dishing your hand and drawing 7. The item cards seem to be in every kit. The supporter cards, though, there seems to be a little bit of flexibility. I've seen about 3 different kits within DD, and this is kind of the common denominator of them, so the supporter cards might be a bit random, to be honest. The next one we'll talk about is Gouging Fire. So in this one, you'll be getting Gouging Fire as your promo card, as well as 2 of the regular copies of it from the set. So they have the Blazing Charge attack we've already talked about. Now getting 3 of those, it's pretty threatening. We do have ways to accelerate the energy onto them to help pay for that hefty attack cost at 3. So Power Glass at the end of your turn, if it's attached to a Pokemon that's in the active, get an energy card from your discard pile and attach it to this Pokemon. So theoretically, if you go first, you get your attachment for turn onto Gouging Fire. Maybe you have a Earthen Vessel to discard a fire energy from your hand, get 2 more fire energy out of the deck, Power Glass on the Gouging Fire, you end your turn, you're attaching an energy from the discard pile to it, then the next turn, attach another card for turn, and you can start using Blazing Charge immediately, which is pretty threatening. You've also got Mela, which seems to be a guaranteed supporter for this kit. You can only use it if one of your Pokemon were knocked out by your opponent on their last turn, but you're going to get a fire energy from your discard pile, attach it to one of your Pokemon, and then draw until you have 6 cards in your hand, just giving you another way to accelerate energy out. The other Pokemon you're going to get in the kit is Koraidon. It has Unrelenting Onslaught, which does a base damage of 30, but if you attacked with an ancient Pokemon, well, another ancient Pokemon on your previous turn, 150 more damage. So you can't just be using Koraidon to trigger the secondary effect of its attack every single turn. You'd have to go Gouging Fire, then into Koraidon. Then if you want to use Koraidon again, switch it out into another Gouging Fire, use its attack, and then go back into Koraidon to kind of get that extra damage output. It does have a second attack on there though for 2 fighting and a colorless, doing 110, which isn't too bad. Being a fighting type also means you're going to be hitting weakness into Snorlax, which we just saw on the previous list, so it's a great way to deal with that in one shot. And we do know that Magneton's getting a kit, so it's a great way to deal with those lightning types hitting weakness into them too. The other trainer cards, you should be seeing Surfer in here, which allows you to switch out your active Pokemon with something on the bench, then draw until you have 5 cards in your hand. Switch effects are very effective in this format. Artisan, letting you search your deck for a basic Pokemon and putting it onto your bench. It is a stadium card, so your opponent will be able to take advantage of this also. If you're not struggling setting up your bench, maybe avoid playing Artisan, because it's going to be helping out your opponent. Like if you don't need it, just be mindful of that. Obviously, if you do need it though, it is one of those trade-offs that it helps you, but it is helping the opponent. Luminous Energy showing up in this kit as well, helping to pay for the fire cost of Gouging Fire, but can also help pay for that fighting cost on Koraidon. So you could be attaching Luminous to Koraidon and then a basic fighting energy and then a fire energy to be able to use that secondary attack. It's just a bit of a flexibility that they provided in the kit. The third one is the Magneton. So you're getting the promo Magneton if you pull that, and then you're going to get a 2/2/2 evolution line of it. So the other Magnetons, they've got the same effect of it. It's just a different artwork on there. The Magnemite, nothing too exciting. It's basically there to evolve up into Magneton. Magnezone being a great option in here to use as an attacker. Magneton, you can obviously knock it out, accelerate energy onto another Magneton that's evolving into a Magnezone, or even use a rare candy to go from Magnemite immediately up to the Magnezone, which is a great option to use. Its attack, Mighty Magnetism, does 80 base damage, and it's going to confuse your opponent's active Pokemon and make it so they can't retreat from the active. So it's not like they can just bounce into another Pokemon easily. They'd have to have a dedicated switch card to get through that, or evolve up to remove the confusion. Indeedee would also help in that situation. The other attacker in here is Tapu Koko. It's got Summon Lightning for 1 colorless energy, search your deck for 2 lightning Pokemon and put them into your hand. So a great way to find your Magnetons and Magnezones if you need, and the attack prize count for 2 lightning and a colorless energy, doing 90 damage, but if your opponent has less prize cards remaining than you do, 90 more. So effectively you knock out Magneton, you go behind on prizes, and you're making it so Tapu Koko can hit for 180. That's going to be one-shotting any of the other cards from the other kits, which is good. Once you kind of catch up to prizes though, or start getting ahead of your opponent, that damage output would go down. Doing 90 damage though, if you're hitting something for weakness, which we'll get to in the next kit, you'd be doing 180 still, so pretty good option to go into. Rare candy in here though, just to get your stage 2s online very quickly. Buddy Poffin to get your Magnemites out really fast. Lacey seems to be the kind of common denominator supporter I'm seeing here. If your opponent has 3 or few prize cards remaining, shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw until you have 8. Explorer's Guidance also seems to be a kind of like consistent card in this kit. You're going to look at the top 6 cards of your deck, pick 2 of them to put into your hand and discard the other 4. So it's a great way to get energy cards into your discard pile for Magneton to then accelerate out with its ability. Reversal energy also showing up here. You're going to be going behind on prizes because of Magneton, and then you can immediately use reversal energy to get Magnezone's attacks online really quick. Great option to go into, and means that Magneton can be charging energy onto Tapu Koko, and reversal energy can be getting your Magnezones online to kind of be getting 2 attackers online in one go. Night Stretcher also seems to be a card that did come up if you got the Magneton as your actual promo. If you got it as a secondary kit, I don't believe it's in there. And the 4th and final kit we're going to talk about is the Chien-Pao promo, which is the one I actually got at the event today. You're going to get Chien-Pao as your promo, only 1 copy of it, so it's not quite like Gouging Fire where they just put a bunch of it in there. It's mainly in there for the ability. There's not a lot of relevant stadiums in this format. There's Gravity Mountain reducing stage 2 Pokemon by 30 HP, as well as I believe it's called Excited Stadium boosting basic Pokemon's health by 30. So Chien-Pao could bump those out, mostly in here for the attack hitting weakness into Gouging Fire. You're also going to get a 3/2/2 evolution line of Quaquaval. So Quaxly, nothing too crazy. Aerial Ace, 10 damage, flip a coin, 20 more damage if you hit heads. So if there is 60 HP fire Pokemon in the active, maybe you're dealing with them quickly, or just putting a bit of pressure into a Gouging Fire early. Once you evolve up into Quaxwell, you'll be doing 40 damage, so into the Gouging Fire, hitting them for 80. So theoretically, if you hit heads with Quaxly, put 60 onto them, then the next turn do 80 with Quaquaval, you'll be taking out Gouging Fire over 2 turns, which is kind of nice. And then the Quaquaval, though, being obviously kind of the star of the show for this kit. Up Tempo lets you take a card from your hand and put it on the bottom of your deck, then you draw until you have 5 cards in your hand. Being on a stage 2, it's a little bit awkward, but you do have rare candy to quickly get it online, and the attack on here is pretty legit. 1 water and 1 colorless, you do 120, so you will be one-shotting Gouging Fires for weakness, and into things like the Rabscas, we can be one-shotting them into a Chien-Pao, you can take them out, and if you're in a mirror match, as long as you can hit your opponent's Quaxwell before they evolve into Quaquaval, you can potentially be one-shotting them too. This kit seems to come with an Arven, just a great way to get into your tool cards. You're going to be getting Vitality Band and TM Evolution, so a great way to get your Quaxwell online very quickly. Buddy Buddy Poffin also showing up, so you do have the combo of going Arven for Buddy Buddy Poffin, TM Evo in pre-release, which feels kind of broken, and seems like this kit also comes with a rare candy and Ultra Ball from what I've seen. Drayton also showing up, so look at the top 7 and grab a Pokemon and trainer card you find there. It's a pretty consistent list. Having draw support in pre-release format is always amazing for your consistency, so this kit feels pretty good and was happy with how it performed. The damage output though didn't feel great. Like there's a couple matchups where it just felt like my opponent was able to hit me harder and we were in a weird spot. Like into the Rabsca matchup, it was me having to charge up 2 energy. It took a while to get there, and then they were able to just go 1 energy and knock me out, and I was like, oh, okay. So not great, but it's definitely a fun kit, and would be keen to hear how you guys go with it at your pre-release events and which of these kits you'd like to kind of smash together. 40 cards in your kit will also include some energies to help charge up your attackers, and these cards could technically all just be sleeved up right out of the box so that you have a deck ready to play on the day. You also get 4 booster packs though that can be used to upgrade your kit. Just make sure you stick to the 40 card limit of the format, so if you're adding any cards to your kit, make sure that you're taking some out too. You should only be using the cards from your kit though. Some events will allow trading, but for the most part they don't, so just use the cards that you've actually pulled. Something else to be aware of when you're building your pre-release deck is there are a few differences from regular play. There's no limit on how many copies of a single card you can have in your deck, so if you pull 5 copies of a card, you can technically use every single one of them. Additional copies of basic Pokemon can really help to boost your deck's consistency, setting up your board quickly, and extra copies of other cards may open up unique combos that wouldn't be possible in the standard format. Ace spec cards though do specifically state on them you can only have 1 ace spec in your deck, so that is a rule you do need to follow. Also, since your deck is smaller, you're going to be having a smaller prize pool you're playing for to win the game. Instead of the usual 6 cards you're going to put out, you're only going to put out 4. Think of it like this, you're putting out 1 prize card for every 10 cards in your deck, so 60 card deck, 6 prizes, 40 card deck, 4 prizes. Some cards I'd recommend that you keep an eye out for to upgrade your deck are ones that can either attack for the same energy type as what's already in your kit, or just need 1 energy of a different type than what your kit is wanting to run already, and can hit weakness into the other kits. Things like fire type Tauros, it can use 1 fire energy to do 30 damage. would be hitting weakness into the grass kit, so potentially taking out their Relors before they have a chance to evolve up and only needing 1 energy to do it. The Scentiscorch also being a great fire attacking option. 1 fire energy does 130 damage, which is pretty big. It is a stage 1 Pokemon though, so you do need the pre-evolution to be able to use it. Some fighting types I'd recommend you watch out for are Landorus that does 30 damage for 1 energy, or 60 if you're hitting weakness into something like Magnemite to quickly take them out by potentially your first turn of the game. Tauros is another good one, doing 40 damage, but it does need 2 energy to attack. Its second attack though does some pretty solid damage at 90, and if it hits a basic Pokemon, it's going to prevent them from attacking on the following turn, so into matchups like Gouging Fire, you can put them in a really tight position, hitting them hard and then making it so that they can't hit you back. Also, you're hitting weakness into Snorlax, so you do 180 to one-shot it. Donphan is another interesting one to watch out for, as it does 40 damage for 1 energy. It is a stage 1, so you need the pre-evolution, and the second attack on here is kind of the star of the show. You do 120 damage, and it's going to make it so you take 100 less damage from your opponent's attacks on the following turn. With limited gust options in this format, it's pretty much just going to be sat there saying, I'm taking 100 less next turn. So if Gouging Fire hits you, you're taking 70. You can just kind of tank some of those hits and be in a good spot. The Excadrill is also an interesting one to watch out for, doing 140 damage if you have a Steel-type Pokemon on your bench for just 2 energy, which is hitting hard enough to take out most things in the format, or at least be 2-shotting EXs or Stage 2 Pokemon. Psychic Pokemon to watch out for would be Dedenne that can recover trainer cards from your discard pile, as well as the Uxie, which can do 20 damage to all of your Pokemons in play, softening up targets for your other attackers to finish off, or potentially going for a board wipe if your opponent's struggling to get set up and you can just use it a few turns in a row. Togekiss would also be a great addition for your decks, as when you KO the active Pokemon, you're going to flip a coin. If you hit heads, you're going to take an extra prize, which really scales the prize race in your favor, and in a 4-prize format, it's pretty scary to be able to do that. Some other fringe attackers would be Iron Crown that can do 120 damage for 2 energy if your opponent has 3 or more Pokemon on their bench, which lets you take out a good chunk of Pokemon in the format and can be charged up pretty quickly. Executor is another one, flipping a coin for every energy attached to it and your opponent's Pokemon and doing 60 damage for each heads that you hit. So, just 1 energy, you can go for some pretty cool Hail Mary plays if your opponent has accelerated out multiple energy. Snorlax is also a good one to include if you pull it. It is included in some of the kits, but if it's not in yours and you happen to pack one, yeah, it's a good option to be able to go into. Having pretty hefty HP, it can eat some hits and can help you draw into cards while softening up targets. And finally, Rotom is in here. It's going to discard all items and tool cards from your opponent's hands for just 1 lightning energy. The second attack on here does a multiplier of 20 for each energy your opponent has attached to them, and it's going to hit weakness into the Quaxley line, so can be pretty good to put some pressure into them, or a little bit of chip damage for something else to follow up. Of course, there's also the EXs in this set, and you can easily include them in your deck or build a deck entirely around them if you pull enough pieces that synergize with them. Just keep in mind, most EXs in the set are evolutions, so you do need to have the pre-evolutions of them to actually be able to run them. Also, you run the risk of giving up 2 prizes if they get knocked out, so it's a bit of a risk-reward situation to be mindful of. There's also a lot of EXs in the set that are kinda crummy. The ones that I would recommend running if you pull them are Pikachu EX, as it seems like an easy include, especially if you get the Magneton kit. You're gonna be able to quickly power up its attack, get online, and start doing some pretty crazy damage. Plus, if it's at full health, it can just tank a hit like nothing's happened to it. It's pretty big. The Hydreigon line is also a solid option to be able to go into. Its attack for a dark and colorless is going to do 200 damage, knocking out most Pokemon in the format, and mills 3 cards from your opponent, putting them in a pretty tough spot, as there's not really recovery cards in this format, so you could be removing key cards from their deck so they never get their game plan online, or go for the second attack, Obsidian, that can take out potentially 3 Pokemon, doing 130 damage to 3 targets, 130 to the active, and 2 things on their bench. Most things in this format have 130 or less, so yeah, it's an easy way to get 3 prizes and close out matches. Archaludon EX is also a great one to pull, as it can charge itself up with its ability when you evolve up into it with Steel Energy from your discard pile. So if you hold off evolving it until the late game, one, you've got some Steel Energy in your discard pile that you've likely used for other Pokemon's colorless attack costs, and then it goes on to an Archaludon, you'll be in a good spot. You can effectively let them knock out 3 single prize Pokemon, then evolve up into Archaludon and make them play a 5 prize match. Latios EX would also be an easy include for a lot of the decks, as its ability gives your basic Pokemon free retreat. So decks running things like Snorlax that's going to be tanking some hits, well, you can tank some hits and then you can retreat it out and go into something else without it getting knocked out and giving up a prize. So yeah, definitely a great option. Plus, since there isn't really Gust cards in the format, Latios can be effectively sat on your bench in a pretty comfy spot, not risking giving up 2 prizes. It's not going to be in the act of attacking. The last bit I want to touch on though are the trainer and energy cards. Typically, if you pull a trainer card and it says either the word search, draw, or switch, you want to put that into your deck. Searching key pieces from your deck like Pokemon and energy is always amazing to boost up your consistency while setting up. Same goes for drawing cards. If you don't actually have cards in your hand to play, well, you're not going to be able to play. So make sure you have as much draw power as possible. And switching is always useful as it means you can get something out of the active spot that might get knocked out and get it into safety, or get into a different attacking Pokemon that you've been trying to set up while having a wall set in the active like the Snorlax we've talked about. Energy cards is a little bit of a tricky one though, as there's no specific number I can tell you to run in pre-release. You're gonna kind of want anywhere from 8 to 14 energies, what you're kind of aiming for. If your deck has a lot of draw support and your attackers only need 1 energy to attack, you can likely go on the thinner side of that number. If your attackers need multiple energy to attack, that means you can't really afford to miss an attachment per turn, so you want to be on the higher end so that you're starting with energy in hand and you're more likely to draw into them throughout the game. Also, if you're running Pokemon of different types and are trying to decide how many energy of the various types to run, look at the specific energy type in their attack costs. It's a good thing to factor in. If you have lightning and water attackers as an example, and your water attackers need 1 water energy and then a colorless, and your lightning attackers need 2 lightning and a colorless, you're probably going to want to run like a 70-30 split, leaning towards more lightning than water. Whereas if it's a 1 colorless and 1 lightning and 1 water and 1 colorless, you could likely go for a 50-50 split in that case. Just something to kind of account for. Also take into mind if you do have a rainbow energy in your deck like Luminous or Reversal energy, as those can count for anything and are a nice way to find a balance in your list if you want to run 1 attacker that has a different energy type than your other guys, but you only need it for a specific matchup so you don't really want to include a basic energy of their type. Yeah, just factor that as, hey, I have 2 Luminous energy, I can include 1 fighting attacker that only needs 1 energy, and I'll just use that if it comes up. Yeah, so you got some options there. I hope that breakdown makes sense, and I'm always more than happy to answer any questions you guys have in the comments down below. Never feel that it's like, oh, this is a dumb question. No, there's no such thing as dumb questions. We're all learning. Hell, I'm still learning too. We're all people. Now, I did say I'd tell you how to get more packs from a pre-release kit, and well, it's not really that much of a secret. Just actually play in the event. If you stick around to the end of a pre-release event that you're actually participating in and not buying a build and battle kit off the shelf, you'll be entitled to 3 additional prize packs that are kind of seen as participation packs. Some stores do hand these out differently though, and will award them out based on your wins. So for each win, you might get an extra pack, or the person that has the most wins might get a higher amount and everyone else just gets like 1 or 2. It's always best to check at the store with kind of what their policy is for that. Most of the ones I go to though is just, hey, you showed up to the event, here's 3 prize packs or participation packs, and just kind of make it a level playing field. Like how you do in the event, a lot of the time is just determined from what you pulled from your pack. So like there may be some people that have busted kits, there might be some people that don't. And it's kind of just best to keep it a level playing field. Now, if you've been waiting around to see what's in the kit I have here today, well, the wait's over. Let's see what we're going to be getting ourselves into. Also realizing now I don't have a knife to crack into this, so I'm going to pop out real quick, get that, and we'll be right back. Cracked into it, did have to use a knife. You can use keys, you can use your hands. If you're at a pre-release event, don't bring a knife. Just public thing. Just use your hands to crack into it. They are a little bit awkward to get into though, and I just didn't want you guys to watch me struggle. Instead of you're just watching me ramble on instead of opening the kit. So let's see what we're getting from this. I pulled the Chien-Pao promo earlier today, so obviously hoping to get a different one than that. Really hoping I don't get the Indeedee, but what about you guys? What promo are you hoping to get? And yeah, I'll give you 5 seconds to pop down in the comments and take a guess at what promo you think I'm gonna get. Gonna get a set list here, so if you're curious as to all the cards in the set, that's a good one there for you. And great, we got Indeedee. Oh, that's instant karma right there if I've ever seen it. So there is a little tab on these to help you get into them. Let's see if I can find it. Nope, we're just brute forcing it. All right, so we are starting off with Indeedee. It's gonna be the trainer tips. So if you watch this video, I've given you some tips. There's some extra tips on here if you'd like them. We're seeing the Relor, basic grass energy, Magnemite. Okay, so we're getting a Magneton and Indeedee kit. Professor's research for some draw power, lightning energy, another Magneton, Relor, grass energy. I really like the pattern on these new energy cards. The Magnezone here. Explorer's Guidance, so great way to help us get energy into the discard pile for our Magnetons to recur out. Reversal Energy, knock out our Magneton, and then just use this to pay for Magnezone's attack in a pinch. Evo TM, Lightning Energy, the Snorlax, Dusk Ball, Basic Grass Energy, the Wu Chen. Don't mess with the snail. Snail's the business. This guy bodied me at the event today. Rabska, Lightning, Grass, Lucky Helmet, great way to draw support there. Another Explorer's Guidance, nice. Rare Candy, Grass, Magnemite, Magneton, Lightning, another Snorlax, another Lightning, Lacy, solid draw support. Reversal Energy, Grass, second Rabska showing up, Buddy Poffin, great way to get our basic Pokemon onto the bench. Lightning, Tapu Koko, Magnezone, basic grass, and hey, that code card. Maybe you stole it, maybe you didn't. I don't know. I don't think you can redeem them yet, but yeah, I guess I'll find out when I try and redeem it later. And in the kits, you will get the 4 prize packs, or not prize pack, 4 booster packs. They should have one of each artwork. So we're getting the Alolan Executor, the Stellar one, the Stellar Pikachu, a Latias EX, and the Arch Alodon EX. Maybe if we're lucky, one of those cards is actually going to be in the packs today. Let's see. And always a fun game to try and guess what type of energy we're going to see in these packs. If you want to have a guess, maybe pop down in the comments down below. First pack, I'm thinking we get fire. We're starting off hot. Execute. Cast Form, interesting one. Mesprit, nice. Scatterbug, Flapple, Doug Trio can attack for no energy, does 120 damage, but if you have 3 cards in your hand, exactly, you can use this attack. If you don't, it's doing absolutely nothing. So very situational. Another Wu Chen could be interesting to include in the deck as a second option. Oricorio as a reversal, Cyrano as a reverse energy or reverse hollow, and a Gouging Fire as our hollow for the pack, and a basic grass. That is the absolute opposite of what I was guessing. Well, an attempt was made. All right, cracking into the second pack here, the Pikachu pack. Maybe he's in here. What do you guys think? Sneaky peeky Pikachu? Let's find out. And I'm saying lightning energy in this one. We're getting a Trapinch, has Call for Family. Good attack to be able to use in this format as well. Colorless energy to use it. Get 2 basic Pokemon, put them onto your bench. So it's effectively like Buddy Poffin on an attack. It does end your turn though when you use it. Another Relor, nice. Always good to get extra basics. Fabopus, Ho-Oh. So Flap does 50 damage for a fire and a colorless, so not a bad option to be able to go into. And then Shining Blaze, 100 base damage. And if you have a Terra Pokemon on your bench, does 100 more damage. That's actually kind of legit. If you pull a Terra Pokemon, I'd include this in a kit if you were running like the Gouging Fire. Colberberry. If you get attacked by a dark Pokemon, reduce the damage you receive by 60. The dark Pokemon in this format is like Hydreigon. If you're getting hit by a Hydreigon, you're probably knocked out. So don't think you really need this for release. The Fire-type Tauros. So this one I feel like we would include just in case we run into another Rabska deck, just being able to take them out early. The Rotom that we talked about earlier, great include. Cast Form. The Togekiss. Okay, we need to find a Togepi. If we find a Togepi, we're good. We saw Rare Candy in our kit, so even if we just get the Togepi, no Togetic, we'd be able to get this guy online to steal some extra prizes. And Steel Energy. It was way off. What did I say, Lightning? It's like I'm just blindly guessing at something that's completely random. Who would have thunk it? All right. Fighting. Shellos. This one also, if you do pull the Gastrodon and the Shellos in your kit, would be a good inclusion. The Gastrodon shuts off the abilities of bench stage 2 Pokemon in play. Quaquaval being a stage 2 Pokemon, if it's on the bench, you can kind of shut off a bit of their draw power. They're likely going to be attacking with that though, so that's kind of why I didn't cover this one in the like, hey, it'd be a good card to include, but it's not the worst option to use. I don't think there's too many other stage 2s you're concerned about from this set. Dedenne, great one to get. Mankey, Zebstrika. Victini has an ability that makes your evolution fire Pokemon do 10 more damage to your opponent's active. Not a bad shout. Mousehold, Meowstic. This one also, if you, it's a bit of a combo piece. So if you get this, it's not a bad card necessarily. Its ability, if you get, it's like a excited tail or something. Like if you get it's like a cat toy card, you can discard it with this ability and you can gust up one of your opponent's Pokemon. So there is technically gust in this format. It's just that you need this, you need the pre-evolution, and you need that item card. So that's why I didn't talk about it earlier, because the odds of pulling all three of those isn't great. And we got an ace spec. Megaton Blower. Discard all Pokemon tools and special energy cards from your opponent's Pokemon in play, and discard a stadium. That's kind of legit. We saw that there's reversal energy, we saw that there's luminous energy. There's like vitality bands in this set, so yeah, that's neat. I'm glad I pulled that. Getting another Trapinch, a Terrapagos. So its attack Prism Charge lets you search your deck for 3 basic energy and put them onto your Terra Pokemon in any way that you like. If you get Terra Pokemon and you get Terrapagos, good one to include. Overall though, for just working with your kit, not a great one. And fighting. Hey, I think I said that this time. Did I got it right? What do I win? One of you sending me a jet ski now? That'd be cool. My address is 123 Fake Street. Just send it over there. Lime green, please. I feel like it would go faster. Normally red things go faster, but like it goes on the water and it's red, so it wouldn't work very great. It would kind of just, you know, red is fire and lime green jet ski. Oricorio, this one we're gonna get a dark energy. Don't even know what this one does, I'll be honest. Bronzor, Morlull, Diglett, Altaria, not a bad attacking option to go into. Humming Charge, search your deck for, is it 2 basic energy? 3 basic energy. 2 basic energy cards, attach them to your Pokemon in any way that you like. Second attack does 100 base damage. Flip a coin if heads during your opponent's next turn. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks. Interesting one. If you pulled a 1/1 line of this and had like the Quaquaval deck, you're already running water energy, it wouldn't be like the worst thing to include. Not one-shotting anything, but it's kind of like a coin flip to maybe be invincible. It's neat. Vivillon, Dragon Elixir, you can heal your active Dragon Pokemon by 60. There's not very many Dragon Pokemon in this set. It'd be an interesting card for standard, maybe for like Goodra V-Star or Regidrago. Larvesta, Tapu Lele, and a Lightning Energy. Nice. I forgot what one I said. I think I said dark. You can still send me a jet ski. That'd be cool. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you have any questions about how pre-release works, let me know in the comments below, guys. Always more than happy to help, as I did mention. And yeah, I try and do these for every single set. So the next set, when it comes out, should be around March? February or March. Yeah, I'll be doing another pre-release video over then. So yeah, if you want some tips on how you should kind of construct your deck for that or what's in the set, keep your eye out. I'll also be having a buy list video coming out shortly, so in the next few days. Not sure why the focus is being all funky here. We were looking at cards and now the camera's kind of lost me. There we go. Are we good? We're not good. I'll just lean this in. There we go. Maybe that makes a difference. Sorry for that. This probably feels like you're a bit drunk now. Anywho, there'll be a buy list video coming out later, so if you're interested to see what cards I think are good in the set and get your hands on them, that should be out in the next few days. Or just watch this YouTube video, or watch this video that YouTube thinks you'll like. Till next time though, stay golden, you Goombas.